It's another rainy day here, and I have another tool to help you feel better on your rainy days. We've already got self-compassion, and we've got a poem to transform rainy days. But it's always great to have a variety of tools, because some days some things work and then other days they just don't. So this is a practice that I have modified for my, personal preferences, and I think it could be really helpful for others too. And I'll share the basic practice, and I'll share my version, and maybe you can come up with your own version that works even better for you. So the practice is called Tonglen, and it's an exchange practice. So you have the feeling that you're feeling that is a little bit unpleasant, whatever it is, or a lot unpleasant. And then you imagine on the inhale, you're taking on that feeling for the whole world. Anyone in the world who's feeling the same way you do, you say, I will feel that for you on this in-breath. And then on your out-breath, you offer them what you would prefer, what you think would be helpful. One that's common for me to use is grief or sadness about, the world. There's so many things too, but, I don't have to tell you. So, so on the inhale, I take on the grief of the whole world. Let me feel that for you so that you don't have to feel it. And I feel that grief deeply. And on the exhale, I offer relief, comfort. What is another good one for grief? Reassurance, peace. Yeah. So this is the continual practice that for just a little while, you sit feeling your feeling, getting to know it, welcoming it here. Grief, I feel you in my chest. It feels heavy. It feels like a rock in my belly. I have tension in my temples. Maybe a tightness in the throat. And for all of the people out there feeling that, I take that in. I feel that for you so that you can have relief, comfort. Okay, so that's a basic practice, and I'll link some other videos to master teachers teaching you how to do this practice. And I just want to share how I modify it for my own self, because when I'm feeling emotion, it tends to change as I do this practice. And so I will continue to modify the feeling that I'm taking on for others and what feels good, because it just continues to change. So I found that instead of having the rigid practice, I feel like it's a little more just intuitive and in the flow with what's happening and what's real in my body. So, and also it can take more than one breath to really get in touch with that feeling. I feel like sometimes if you just do the inhale, grief, exhale, relief, inhale, grief, exhale, relief, it's just like, it feels disorienting almost. It feels like I can't genuinely sink into either one of those feelings. So I might do a few breaths of the grief and being with it and feeling the grief of people who are missing someone, who have lost someone, who are dealing with just difficult times, health issues, relationship issues. There's so many things that can trouble us. So grief over all these things and feeling that for them and almost kind of connecting to their hearts. And it might be a few breaths in and out. And then the relief, the comfort, the peace, feeling what that is, feeling what it's like to have the peace that surpasses understanding. A peace that's like a grace that doesn't make sense. And a few breaths with that, like what that feels like. And may all beings have this. May all beings have this. May all beings have this. And soon maybe my grief is more sadness. And so sadness. Sadness feels like a bit softer and a bit heavier, like where grief had a little bit of grip to it and it had some like contraction to it. I feel like sadness is almost like a giving up. So I take that sad of all the people feeling that. May you have the spaciousness. Ooh, spaciousness felt good with that one for me. The spaciousness to feel the rising and falling of whatever comes into your awareness, whatever emotion comes. May you have the space, the spaciousness, the witnessing capacity to be with what arises for you. So being with the sadness of all these people, and then sending out the capacity for them to be with their own sadness. And then whatever else arises, whatever else comes their way. It reminds me of the poem Guest House by Rumi, where he encourages us to think about our emotions and depressions as visitors that come knocking on the door, and we welcome them in. Laughing, he says. That one deserves its own video. It's one of those that you need to experience, because the laughter won't make sense when you're really feeling, when you're in the feeling of the grief. So that's more of a higher perspective poem to read when you're not feeling so bad, so that in the bad times when you remember it, you can bring that wisdom to even this moment. Yeah. So another one that you could work with is irritation. Ooh. Irritation is a staticky, prickly, tense feeling. So I imagine taking in all of that irritation for all beings feeling irritated in this moment, so that you can have calm